Thank you, John, and welcome to Swish Technology College University 2023. My name is Manny Marquez. I'll be doing what's new core design sessions. But before we get started, let's bring you up to date on Siemens digital industry strategy and the key role Solid Edge plays. There's a lot of discussions these days about digital transformation. What is this transformation, you ask? Auto companies discuss becoming more mobility companies, commercial aircraft companies becoming air transport companies. Some companies want us to help them build their new business models. Others are asking us to manage their software deployments. It's really important that companies consider digital transformation because honestly, those that don't risk being left behind. Helping companies succeed with digital transformation. Siemens is committed to that mission. The investment Siemens has made over the last several years has been phenomenal. As you can see on this slide here, the list of companies that brought into the digital industry software portfolio. If you look at the slide there, from 2007 all the way to 2022, from the acquisitions of UGS, from Bentley, Mentor Graphics, and Mendix. Siemens has invested over 10 billion over the past several years, one of the largest and most successful software companies in the world. In fact, Siemens is one of the top 10 software companies in the world. All right. Okay. So the agenda for today, for this morning, let's kind of go over that. So we're going to go over the new user interface, as I stated, that's consistent across Siemens software products, the context toolbar, component finder, all the way to the Visual Explode, the enhancements for the direct CAD, um, and also the new product there, Solid Edge Inspector. Now let's share some of the new great new functionalities that Solid Edge has for 2023. Our feature customer for this year's is a company called Yanu. Yanu is an Estonian-based company founded in 2019. The images you're looking at are fully autonomous bartending robots leveraging artificial intelligence technology. It serves drinks, handles payments, identifies and communicates with clients. With this year's release of Solid True, we continue to push the boundaries of product development, leveraging the comprehensive digital twin with exciting new capabilities such as simplified model workflows, value-based licensing, and Solid Edge SaaS. Solid Inspector and literally hundreds more. Right in the core of your daily work, you are going to find some great productivities enhancements. We used some great lessons learned from synchronous technology and brought them these into ordered or history-based modeling workflows. We ramped the user interface and put tools right at your fingertips. So let's get started. Solid Edge introduces a fresh, new, and modern user interface which is consistent across all Siemens software products, such as your icon. You see that as SE. The part, you can see that the ribbon bar there. You can see the some of the commands there, the more vivid, easier to identify. You got the sheet metal environment and sketch and the assembly, and also the pathfinders. You can see that whether you're in assembly or part, they kind of added some new enhancements in there visually. You can see the little carrots they added. You could kind of expand them out and expand some of the features in part or sub assemblies in the on the assembly environment. And these are obviously more applications for standalone apps. You can see that from 2D nesting, 3D publishing, wiring, harness design to PNID, piping, and FlowMaster. Let me go ahead and show you that. All right. So I switch over to Solid Edge here, and you can see that you still have your tabs up here. They're still consistent across from your home features all the way across. However, though, the icons have changed slightly. Like I said, they're more vivid. You can see the coloring scheme that they've introduced there. You could look at the Pathfinder here. I could expand those carrots now. I could hide um, by simply click on that little eye there. You could see that obviously depending what you select there, or you could come back to the graphics there, select that, obviously we'll expand out to where is that, and then simply come back and hide that. All right, I'm gonna go back and turn it back on. All right, so let me go to the next slide here. Um, so what they've done here is they introduce synchronous to order modeling. So there you could define regions, 2D, define regions in 2D order sketches, as you see here. You just basically select the region, and at that point you decide what you want to do. You could set they have added they also unified the add remove order feature, right? So once you selected a feature, you go inside, remove, outside will add material. And also they also added the synchronous steering wheel. And at this point, you simply select the surface here or region and locate your steering wheel. And at that point, you go ahead and add the, in this case, is 2 degrees there. So having true synchronous style edits in order modeling environment is it's just a game changer. The vertical command bars, VCV. So what they've done here, depending where you are in your environment, the vertical command bar will change. In this case, happens to be the select, flash fit. Let's see here. I'm sorry, if you're going to add something here, component, and create in place. You can also see it's kind of translucent there. You can still see the graph, your part in the background there. The vertical command bar becomes new command input device. Can be positioned as desired in the graphics area there. In other words, you could grab it, move it around, or if you want, you can also put it, place it on a second monitor. The horizontal command bar is no longer available. You can see them again. This is happens to be the drag component, extrude, add definition, and line arc. So the highest frequency object specific command. So expand context toolbars, minimize mouse travel. As you can see that here, and depending what you select, obviously you get different selections there. Okay, let me go ahead and show you that. Okay, so like I said, let me go ahead and bring it up to, let's see here. Let me go back to my home here, show you all parts, configurations. Now, one thing like I pointed out earlier, you can see that when I come back and select, let's say, for example, this component right here, or this one, whichever you want to select, you can come back and look at it, and you can say, well, I can come back and show that or hide that. depending what you want. Go back and clean that. Obviously, you can see that living look and feel on your Pathfinder there. If I go back up here now, and if I select the this part right here, and as soon as I select that, I get my context toolbar. You see that appears right here. Now, what you could do is obviously, depending what you want, you could go into each of these commands here and say, well, that's your add definition, that's your edit, that is your open, show only, isolate, and active, right? Again, this will change based on what you select. Um, in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and hide this, just kind of show you that. Again, just you could have also done the exact same thing on the uh, path finder. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and move along here. The next thing I want to show you is the next thing is I'm gonna zoom a little closer right about here, because I'm gonna focus on this area here. Is my component finder here. So there's two ways you could go about doing this. You could go and simply under the Pathfinder right here, you could go ahead and enter the value. You could enter a whole value if you know the part number, or if you know somewhat partial of that part number. Let's say, for example, I'm going to use that 14. And the one thing about that too is also gives you kind of a preview of any of those match or close to those. So I'm going to go ahead and enter 14, 92. I'm sorry, 94. So I hit enter there. And you can see what it did here. It went out and found that part right here, right? Or this assembly, which is really what I was looking for. And you can see that I could have entered the whole part number here, but I knew that was ended with 1494, which is I've done that here. And at that point, basically, I can go ahead and open that. As soon as I click on that, you can see I get my context toolbar here. And at that point, I'm going to go ahead and open that subassembly. All right, so you can see what I opened up here, this subassembly here. I'm going to go to my configuration here and select this particular one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little closer here and select the sketch here. And when I want to open that up, so go ahead and open that. Obviously, that takes me to this part right here. You can see my Pathfinder right here. I'm going to go ahead and simply select rotate it here a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to go ahead and extrude this from the sketch here. So I'm going to go ahead and simply select the command extrude, right? And at this point, I'm going to select, let's see, I'm going to select this. Make sure I have that selected from sketch there. All right. So I want to go out maybe, let's say, about 6 millimeters there. Okay. Okay. So now that I've done that, my first extrude, I want to go back and simply, let's see here. Let me cancel out of here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate my regions there. So what I want to do is now that I've activated those regions, I'm going to start selecting those regions here. And obviously the one I'm looking for is this one right here, that one, and there and there. And you can see my context toolbar appears wherever I move to it, or wherever I put my mouse is going to get as close as possible I can. And obviously the next thing to do is simply select that. Like I said earlier, another functionality added here on the extrude, the combine, the remove and add. You see that because simply coming in inside the material is going to remove. If I go out, it's going to add material. In this case, I'm going to make that 7.5. Okay. And you can still see that, I could go inside and say, well, I could go 7.5, but obviously that's going to remove the material and accept that. Okay, now that I have done that, I'm still going to continue in selecting some of these other regions here. And I'm going to go ahead and simply select that region there, this one, and that one. And what I want to do is, obviously, is by default, it's going to add the material. I don't want to, obviously, I want to remove material. So what I'm going to do is do the shift there and space bar. So that allows me to go symmetrical. I want to go both directions and remove at the same time. So at that point, it doesn't really matter how far I go out. And at that point, I'm going to go and say, yes, exactly. That's what I'm looking for. And I continue on here with this other one right here. And I'm this point, I don't want to go symmetric. So I hit this shift there. So I'm going to go back and say I want it to go 3 millimeters in this direction and accept that. Click finish. And you can see that I've done that there. That's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm still going to come back and select this other one here. Oh, I got out of the command and accept that. And at that point, I'm going to say I want to remove the material. So I'm going to go, doesn't matter how far, as long as I go above that surface right here. And this one right here, I'm going to add that material here. And again, depending where I go, all right, if I go here, it's going to add material. And that's exactly what I want to do. And let me just push it up slightly right about here. That's going to be 3 millimeters. I want to go, oh, that's symmetrical. I don't want that. And I want to go this direction and finish. So you see that what they've done here? They combined the add and remove under one command. So there's no longer a cut command. Just simplify the workflow there. Next thing I'm gonna do is simply come back and add some rounds here. I'm gonna come back and simply select the command and simply select those edges there. And I want it right about 2 millimeters. So I'll go ahead and take the default values there and accept that. And at this point, if you know that you're not going to be using these regions anymore, you can come back and simply right click in there and go and activate those. So, you're no longer selecting them anymore. Which is nice to know. So after a quick design review, a few alterations have been requested to speed up the modification time within the order environment. Solid 2023 introduces synchronous technology capabilities in the move, rotate, and offset face commands. Design 10 rules are available. The steering wheel will use to perform these operations. So that's another really new functionality they added here. For example, if I go and say I want to go ahead and offset this surface right here, right? So I'm gonna go back to my move command, right? Simply select the move command, and you notice one thing that what is new here as well. Obviously, it's not new, but it's new to the ordered environment. You can see that we're in ordered, but yet I'm seeing the design intent, which you see in a second here. When as soon as I select that surface here, and simply start selecting my steering wheel, and you could place it. Ideally, that's where you want it right on that surface. I'm gonna come back and simply start dragging in this direction, and you see what is done there, right? It picked up the coplanar on my design window there, and in this case, that's not what I want. So by simply selecting the shortcut, you can see that that coplanar's turned off now. Now I could go in there and actually just enter a value, dynamically move it. But in this case, I definitely want to put in a value there. It's going to be 1.5. Actually, it was supposed to be the other way. Let me go back and take that 3, that direction. There you go. And you can see that I went in there and actually removed that in there, offset that, and obviously using this design intent rule as well. Like I stated earlier, we're in ordered, but yet when I use the commands here, uh, and I could simply start selecting surfaces, and I get my design tent window here. And based on how what you select, you see that more options here as I move on. So the next one is going to be, let's say, oh, and let me go ahead and hide this sketch here now. We no longer need this. There you go. I'm going to go ahead and simply select, go again, select the move command, and I can select this surface, that surface, and I could place my steering wheel anywhere, if I want to lock into a specific point. It's fine right there. And you can see that as soon as I did that, again, my design tent uh, window comes up here, right? And then you can see that it's got concentric and align holes. Simply, I could turn off concentric here so you can kind of see the behavior I'm getting here, right? I could turn it back on. And again, this is an order part, as you can see that right here, but yeah, using synchronous technology tools in the ordered environment, which is really, really powerful tool there. In this case, I'm gonna go ahead. In this case, I'm gonna go ahead and use that, make that 2 millimeters in that direction. All right. The next one will be if I were to come back and let's say I want to go ahead and taper this edge right here. Well, in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and select the rotate face. Select that face right there. Grab my steering wheel and make sure I get that right on the edge there. Yep, I got it right there. So you get the little indication there. And at that point, you can either select a specific view if you wish to do that and see which way is going to start taking that taper there. That's not what I'm looking for here. Let me go ahead and use this one right here. There we go. And at that point, I'm going to simply select my torus here, and you can see that the behavior that I'm looking for, and obviously I want that to be 2 degrees, and there it is. So very powerful tool here. So another thing they've done here is Solid Edge 2023 extends the whole support for standard fit class tolerance for whole countersink, counterbore, feature working, and ANSI, ISO, or DIN standards. Support for unit tolerance has also been added. All right, so let's take a look at that. So this one, I'm going to go ahead and select the, I'm going to kind of just briefly show you some of those tools there that I was just referencing to. So I'm going to go to the whole command, right? And I go to the options here. And obviously, you still have the options to select the simple threaded. You got counter board there, and you can see that the fit here. Let me make that ISO here. So yes, you can see that. Obviously, you got the H12, H13 normal, close or loose, depending which obviously fits your needs. You go ahead and select that. You have to have the tolerance here, and you can apply that for either standard, fit, or unit tolerance. Again, which one you choose. All right. So I'm gonna go back to my standard threaded hole here, and I have used this also options to save that, so that way, if you know what you're gonna be using, you can simply start selecting that, and that way, let's say for example, if I use M 3.5, okay, that's great. And once you've determined that that's what you're looking for, simply say okay. Let me select this surface here, and I'm gonna place that somewhere around there. Just give it a number there. I'm sorry, place it there. And I'm gonna make that I don't know, maybe 16 or 17. Actually, make that probably 15. Okay. All right. So once you've done that, you can simply say, okay, that's fine, uh, and exit that. And we'll go ahead and accept that. And the next thing to do is obviously just pattern that. So go ahead and select the pattern, select that feature, and pretty straightforward. Make sure I select the circular pattern, and I want that to be 6. Perfect. And I'm done here. Gives you a little preview there, and there you're there. All right, so that's how you go about doing that. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to my subassembly here. You see in a minute here. Let me go ahead and hide all the sketches there. Go hide that there. There you go. So see them in there. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go back to my PowerPoint here just quickly. All right. So another enhancement they've done is it's great to see the new material and visual styles as well. This has been a collaboration across various parts of Siemens to deliver not only very useful but consistent styles across the products. It is just simple dragging and dropping, right? So you can see that you get the style palette right here, right? You could go to whichever material you want and simply drag it and drop it there. And you also have the visual explode tool here, right? Uh, so it's a nice option there to kind of visualize something that you kind of put together and kind of see that. And the other really nice option is that you could have the subassembly, the stage mode, which gives you the subassembly, then explodes the down to the levels as well. So I'll show you that in a minute here. All right, so let me go ahead and show you that. Let's see here. Okay, so like I said here, you got the actually where to go. It's right here. There we go. Uh, you could go to, for example, let's see, recent used, current documents, high quality styles. You could go and expand that, or hide that. You go to high quality. Let's see. I want to go to. Let's see which one was it. All styles here, and you get to go to coatings here. And like I said, whichever you decided to use, you could go to say, for example, material table, right? I want this to be aluminum, so I grab it and drop it there, and say yes, replace that. Okay, you see that kind of took a little bit different there. And maybe I want this to be, let's see here, architecture. I mean, again, this is just randomly selecting some of these uh, materials here. So I'm gonna go back to this one right here and grab this part. I'm gonna simply random select any part now at this point. So yes, I wanted to show you a really shiny one. Let's see here, Chrome. There you go. That's what I want to show you there, Chrome. So yes, replace that. Let's see here, this one right here as well. You kind of see that pretty cool there, right? So again, this new functionality that they've added here. Let's see here. So the next one I want to show you is this time I'm gonna go back to this top level assembly here, and let's see if I could go into the explode config right there. All right, so kind of show this real quick here. All right, so the new one is the new functionality, the visual explode. It's kind of under your tools tab there. You can see that right here. Simply select the command there and simply start sliding the, you can see that. Let me zoom a little further out here. There you go. Move this over here. and you can see that there it is right there. Pretty cool, right? Now, if I come back and click on this one right here, and you can see that what's going to happen is going to explode those sub-assemblies, and after that, then it goes out to the components there, which is really neat too as well. All right, all right. So let's go ahead and go back to my PowerPoint. All right. So another enhancement they've done is the enhancement capture fit. So what they've done here is predefined relationships in the assembly. The new assembly features added to the assembly, such as swept cutout, union, slot, or subtract. In 2022, subtract was being created in frames as targets as long as frames were in the same document. In 2023, subtract works in all assembly components, be it in the same level or at lower level, even internal components, be it single or multiple components. These components can also be active or inactive. The sweep cutout feature command, as we noticed that we always had the single path or multiple paths, right? But this one is you have a different. You can see that the single or multiple paths and cross sections support as per part operation. And you can see that what they've done here. Once they've done that, you kind of see that this one is obviously it looks like a circle here. No, it's a circle, and the other one is a square here, and they kind of go out and actually at a certain point they kind of merge into each other there. Cutout creates a single body or across multiple bodies. So you can see this is obviously two different components here, and you create that cutout. If you select one, obviously it's going to only cut that one. But if you select both of them, it's going to cut into both, which is really, really powerful tool there. There's the new slot feature, slot options as per environment, one or more elements or sketch chains, single or multiple targets. This is really center lines of slot can be used to position components in the assembly using the path relationships. So if you have something like this, you want to kind of move that around that, you go ahead and move that, which is really enable lock into the center of that. New union feature combines selected bodies into a single body. Target body contains all selected tools and bodies. So you have the target. If you want to select multiple parts, you could do that. Now they combine into a single part. And you could obviously delete the union feature to remove a union body override. All right, let me go ahead and show you that. Let me go ahead and open that part here. Close this. And this as well. All right, so let me go ahead and open up this part, which is going to be the assembly cutout assembly there. It's just another component of the overall part here. I mean, assembly. Okay, so like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and up and show you. Let's see, I'm gonna rotate it about here so you get a better. Actually, what I'm gonna do here. Let me put that down here. There you go. All right. I'm not sure how they got up there. So let me go ahead and go and find the, let's see here, it's gonna be under features, and I'm gonna select the swept cutout command here. And the first one I'm gonna select multiple paths and cross sections there. So I'll go ahead and select that. And obviously the first thing I'm gonna do is ask me to go ahead and select the path here. So we'll just do that right there. And the next thing is I'm gonna do the cross section here. And you can see that obviously this is a circle that I'm going to select, and it's a square right there. And at that point, I'm going to say preview and obviously select. Now it's prompting which one do you want to, obviously, which body selection you want, right? I'm going to select this one right here. And you can see that obviously this starts as a square here. This one starts as a circular cutout right here and kind of work out. And eventually somewhere in here it starts to merge with that. So pretty neat functionality there. The next one is going to be, so there's two ways you could go about doing this. Let me turn on some of the sketches here, and I want to make sure I have let's see here. Yes, there's that one right here, which is this one right here. And I also have a 3D sketch here. If you wish to do that, that's great. However, though, I could still use the edge of the actual model itself to use that as a path. So I'm going to turn that off here. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go ahead and go to my features, go to the swept cutout here. But this time I'm going to go ahead and select the single path. And I'm going to select the path here. So you can see that it selects it for me, highlights it for me right there, which is right here. And now I'm going to go ahead and select the cross section. Right. Now I'm going to select one first. You can kind of see again idea there. I'm going to kind of rotate this about here and accept that. And you can see that because this is two components right here. This is the top, there's a bottom component right here. And you can see what is done here. It only cut into one. Well, if I go back up here and this time select the top one here and accept that, now it's got cut into both, which is really, really awesome tool there. Functionality. The next one, I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. Let's see, sketch 5. I'm going to turn that on right here. You can see that there's a sketch right in here. And let me turn this sketch over here. And that's going to be there, 1 and 3. All right, now that I have this, I'm going to go to the slot command right here and simply select the sketch there. Obviously, it's predefined. Tell it which direction. I could go to the options in here and say, well, what value you want on the slot there. Go ahead and select 2.5 and simply say OK and tell it which direction. I definitely want that to be through all. So I want it to be go through these two all the way to the end there. So I'm going to tell it that direction. And obviously I want to select the component there and accept that. And you can see that cut right through this right here as well. All right, so really neat functionality there. And the next one is going to be, I'm going to open up another assembly here. And it's going to be the union assembly here. Yeah. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to show you how to combine these two into one. Now you see that's using the union command there. So select the command. I want this to be my target, and everything else is going to be my select tool here, step here, and accept that. And if I come back and say I want to go ahead and hide these two here, you can see that obviously it's now one one part here. You can see that obviously that's my base because I selected that as my target. And if I turn them back on, you can still see the outlining of those components in there. All right, so pretty neat functionality. The next one is going to be it's going to be let's see here, sign capture fit. There you go. Okay, so I'm just going ahead and open up the sign capture fit assembly. Okay, now that it's open, so again, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to use some new functionality for uh, capture fit at the assembly level. Okay, so first one I'm going to show you is nothing new. I could go at select uh, a sub-assembly from my Pathfinder here. Let's say it's going to be this one right here. So I can simply drag it and drop it. And again, I already have this already predefined capture fit here. And I can see that there. So I'm going to simply select this surface here. And it's actually prompting me for the other one right here, which is going to be. And the great thing about this is that I could just go and focus on my target area here, regardless of where the part might be out there. So I'll go ahead and select that and done, right? Okay. Again, nothing new here. So the next step is I'm going to go ahead and actually open up a subassembly. And there, I am going to go ahead and predefine these relationships. So again, new 2023, we had this functionality in the part level in 2022. 2023, we have that at the assembly level. Now we have the assign capture fit here. By default, it's going to give you, a relationship group here. This needs to match on whatever is going to be on the top level assembly. So I'm going ahead and just give it a name here, and that's going to be shock observer. Okay, and at that point, say yes. And now the next thing I'm going to do is simply come back here and apply a mate relationship. And I'm going to simply select that surface there, and you can see that I went apply there. And the next one is going to be axial line, and it's going to be there. Now I could hover over that on my manage relationships dialog box here. You can see them highlighted right there. At this point, I think it looks good here. Make sure you get the name correctly, otherwise it's not going to work. So I got the all right. So it looks good. So I'll go ahead and accept that and save this subassembly here. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to the top level assembly. And this time, I'm going to go ahead and drag it from the parts library. And I'm going to simply just drag it and drop it. Now, this time, I should be able to go to the assembly modes and select the auto assembly here. And by doing so, I could go to a, and I could go in here, select a specific location right here like I did earlier. And you can see that by simply hovering over that, selecting that, it kind of gives me, and I'm doing this manually, actually. I'm simply selecting that. right there, and you can see how easily it just goes out and places them, right? Which is great. Nothing wrong with that. Just going in there, selecting those individually. Now I'm gonna go ahead and exit here, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete these. Just so I'm gonna show you the other method here. So I'm gonna go ahead and simply select those and delete those in here. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing, but this time I'm gonna go ahead and do another option here. So I'm gonna do the same thing, drag them in here. I am gonna still select the auto symbol here, but this time I'm going to select the identify targets. So I'm gonna let Solid Edge do the work for me. So I'm gonna simply click here, and you see that by simply clicking there, it went out and found it for me. It's like, oh, there it is right here, this one here. I can go in and deselect that. You see that how it turned red there? You can kind of see the still kind of gives it that preview there, if you will. If you want it back in there, you simply click on that. If you want it, maybe you want this one, that's fine. You could turn it off or on. And so there you go. So at that point, you can simply select yes, accept there, and you're done here. All right. So next thing is, let me go back to my PowerPoint, and there you go. Interoperability enhancements. All right, so a couple of things they added here is the motion kinetics transfer to NX, MCD, and process simulate. They transfer motion kinetics to NX, export joints, couplers, links, rigid bodies, geometry, reference, gravity, mechanical, data exchange using PLM XML and JT file formats. All right, so improve also how to transfer this over to NX, the material physical properties, seamlessly uh, translate enhancements to the PMI transfer of sections and model views, associate sketch and section views, dimensions to design bodies, and scalable data sharing. On the CAD Direct, we also have some enhancements there. Now you can insert SolidWorks files, JT step, pair solid files directly into Solid Edge assemblies, work and collaborate easier than before, supporting multiple file types, solid bodies and surfaces inserted as internal components. All right, let me go ahead and show you that. So if I switch over to Solid Edge real quick here, I'll stay in this assembly here. Just want to show you that right here. So in here, right, you have the direct CAD Direct, right? So you go in there now. What they've done here for 2023, the ability to select SolidWorks files. There's part or assembly and JT and also pair solid there. So nice option there to, instead of going through the import process, you can simply just direct uh, solid edge. All right, say that. Okay, so the next one um, topic is going to be our next feature is going to be Solid Edge Inspector. Solid Edge Inspector automatically generates quality inspection data and reports that users can trust, while enabling seamless communications in the downstream manufacturing process. You can save time and money in the manufacturing by eliminating errors in the inspection. This is going to be a good time saver for a lot of solid users. Inspector automatically identifies labels and extracts critical design characteristics from 3D and drawings, from 3D models and drawings. And unique identifiers are assigned and linked to the design information over the entire life cycle of part throughout all changes and modifications and iterations. Solid Edge Inspector saves users valuable time by automatically identifying and labeling the important information in up to 80% less time than manual entry methods. Plus, for increased downstream consumption and better communications with colleagues, the data can be extracted in different neutral format, including Microsoft Excel. The first article inspection FAI reports can be automatically generated and are essential to effective inspection planning. FI, FAI reports can assist in locating errors that could cause issues later in the project lifecycle, saving time, money, and catching errors before product proceeds downstream in the manufacturing process. All right, so I'm gonna show you that. All right, so I'm gonna switch over back to Solid Edge here. Let me close this and open up. Okay, so it's loading all the components. Okay. Once I have my assembly open, there's a going to show you two methods on drawings and 2D drawings and 3D models based inspections using Solid Edge Inspector. All right, so first of all, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in close to this part right here, and I'm going to open up the the drawing that's associated to that component there. And the new functionality is going to be under Tools. It's going to be under Tools, Solid Edge Inspector. And you can see that I got the dialog box here opened already. And so what I'm going to show you is, first of all, I'm going to show you the tools, defining tolerance table out of the box. So I'm going to go ahead and select the command here. You can see that I have, based on which one you want, do you want the medium, right? And here's again, the out of the box standards can be configured based on customers' requirements. You could go and select, let's say, fine. You can see based on that, some of these values change, and, and that will be for your linear tolerance, angular, and so on. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select the medium and say that. All right. Now let's talk about the ballooning process, right? So you do have the option to do them manually or automatic. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose the automatic option here. And as soon as I do that, you can see the balloons appear next to a dimension, as you see here, right? whether it's a linear or angle. You can also come back and actually, ideally, you want to drag these balloons here and push them out so it's much clearer where they're at. So once I've done that, I also have the ability to, let's say, for example, I want to come back and maybe slightly change or slightly drag these feature control frame here, for example. If I want to notice one thing too is the balloon actually goes along with it, which means that's obviously attached to that or linked to that. I could do that same thing here with this linear dimension. You can see that the 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 balloons are actually attached to that, move along with it as well, which is what you expected. All right, so let's go and take a look at the CN table. As soon as I do that, I'm going to point certain things up, right? So the first one is going to be, let's say, for example, this one right here, right? You got the characteristic is number two. There's a balloon right here, calling that out right there. And that's obviously pointing out to the 78 degrees, right? And you see the ability to, or the options you have for upper, lower, for tolerance, their phenomenal value. You have 78, and you got 78.3, 77.4, and obviously that's the upper, lower. That's indicating that's 50 degrees. I do have the option to go and actually convert these over to from, let's say, minor to critical. So, for example, if I go to 9 and 10, right? So you got 9 and 10 right here, which is going to be these right here, right? You see them highlighted right there. If I go back and say, well, I know they're a minor class right now, so I may want to come back and select that and say that needs to be moved over to critical, right? And you can see that it's changed. Obviously, you want to come back and commit to that. And look what happened here. It's actually changed the color coding there. Now it's indicating to you because it's critical, now it's blue, and that's how you would identify whether they're critical. I'm gonna go ahead and change this one just so you can see that it's gonna be 6, right? I'm gonna go back up a little bit here, and I'm gonna make that major. And you can see that I obviously need to come back and commit to that, and it's changed the color to green. So I visually, you guys see them, the class that they are in, they fall in, right? And you could identify them that way. All right, so what I'm going to do next is one other thing too, if I want to just point out that you also have the ability to go ahead and hide them, you know, and bring them and unhide them again. Um, Next, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we could go ahead export, say for example, this report here. So I'm going to go ahead and export this and see that's I'm gonna put this on yeah, I'll put that in my temp folder there because we'll go ahead and import that at a later point right here, which I'll show you in a second here. So I'll say yes, I'm gonna go ahead and export that there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and delete the balloons and say yes. That's I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Notice they're all gone, right? There's been deleted, which is fine. Again, that's just kind of make a point here that I could always come back and re-import them again, which I will go ahead and do that. So when I do that, I'm going to go ahead and select the file, the IPXML file, which is where I exported to. And I'm going to go ahead and bring it back in. And you notice here the changes were done, actually were imported. See that the colors here, remember we talked about those? Okay, so kind of again, sometimes that needs to, if you import them, or exporting, you can bring them right back in and everything will be saved if you had made some changes to them. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and create a report here. And this one I'm going to call this one, I'm going to go back and just make that a And you see in a minute here why I'm doing that. I'm able to go ahead and create a report with the CAD properties in there. I am going to put it in a particular location. I'm going to go ahead and now put that under mm, temp here. I'm going to call it, put under new report right there. Select that folder. Okay, there it is right there. And I go ahead and say okay. And you see that in a minute here. When I takes about a second or two, it's going to open up the report along with the CAD properties in there. You see the dimensions, and it's just still processing that. And this is supposed to be configured to meet customers' needs. So here it is right here. So it opened up. It opened up in Excel. Maximize this right here. There we go. And you can see that I could scroll down here and kind of see what the, and there's that 78-degree angle that I pointed out. There's some dimensions here, right? And obviously it gives you the characteristic number there, right? The dimension, the measuring dimension, whether it's dimension angle, and so forth. And you have the class right here, right? Minor, critical, and so on. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this right here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open up the model that's associated to this drawing and simply just double clicking on that. That takes me to my model here. And I'm gonna go to the move command and I'm gonna make some slight modification to these holes right here. And simply by moving them, I don't know, 2.5. Okay. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna simply place a dimension so I can kind of show you back in the draft what we should be looking for. Obviously 25 from this edge to the center of that hole right here. Okay. So now that I've done that and confirmed that, I'm gonna switch back to my draft. And obviously I need to, it's indicating to me that this is what we're gonna be looking at around this area here, 18. And go ahead and update this this view here. And you notice here, there it is. It went in there, went from the previous 22.5 to 25, and that's the modification that was done on this item right here, right? And this characteristics number 18. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to point out is, okay, we have this 78 degree, and I'm going to go ahead and intentionally delete this angle there. As you notice that the balloon stays behind, characteristic stays behind there. So, and I'm doing this intentionally so I could make the point here is that I'm going to go ahead and add a dimension here and just place it right in there. And then what happened, I deleted this angle dimension and it still left my balloon here. Yet I'm going to go ahead and update the list here, the CN list here, and say update. And notice what happened. It removed the balloon there, obviously, because there was no dimension in there. And when it added one here, which is 47,106. Okay. So once I've done that, now I'm going to go back into my report here. And then I'm going to go ahead and filter. All right, go ahead and do that. And I kind of scroll all the way to the end here. Now notice there's some changes here. So I'm going to specify a, let's see here, delete, modify, and new. And notice here, I'm going to drag this over to the other end here. Just move it over to this. Just makes it out easier to point that out. Okay, I think it's right here. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so now that there's a dimension that 78 degrees, right? Obviously, that's been deleted. There's some other ones, obviously, that were modified, right? The 25.2 to 25, right? And the dimension that was added. See that? All right, so you got 104, and obviously there's the characteristic for that. I'm sorry, no, not the characteristic. Let me push this out further here. Um, yeah, yeah, the characteristic is 47, which is right there, right? And the one that was modified, 18, which is this one right here. All right, so it kind of makes sense now. All right, so you see where what happened when you went and deleted something, a dimension, when you modified dimension, and when you added a dimension. So it was deleted, modified, and what do you call it? Added. Obviously, these are the nominal values here. 25. Let's point them over here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and just kind of want to point that out. Close this out here now again. And I'm going to go ahead and create another one. So it's going to be under here. Yes, go ahead and create that report. Say yes, or write that. Okay. Now that you've seen that, so what I have here now, I'm going to point out, is that you have the deleted, which is there's the angle right there, and there's the new dimension that I added, which is a 106. See that right there? All right, so now let's compare those reports. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this again. And this time I'm going to go ahead and let's see here, go here, and let's see, I'm going to go ahead and filter these and go here. And again, simply select delete it, modify, and new. Okay. And then go back to my report here. And this time I'm going to call that. All right, compare and go ahead and accept that. And let it generate. All right. So now for this one, and you know, like the advantage of using this is that you have filter all the information that you might not need. You, if let's say, for example, maybe you were looking something that just says, okay, well, I want to look for anything that was deleted, that was modified, or what you have added, and you've done that right here. There's the angle that was deleted. There was a dimension that was added. I'm sorry, that was modified. See right there. And also now the new dimension that I added in there. You can see that obviously there's reference that to the characteristics there, reference that to the balloon here, and so forth. So that's how you would do that. Or you uh, will create this report so that way on downstream manufacturing processes, you have the ability to go in and see what was changed and so forth. All right, the next thing I want to show you is I'm going to go back. to open up a file here. And it's gonna be this file right here. And obviously this is a 3D model, right? So I showed you earlier, this was obviously done everything in 2D. Now go ahead and switch over to 3D. So essentially, you could do that in whether whichever you choose, whether it's 2D in the draft or you do this PMI. You're applying your PMI dimensions to your 3D model. If you do that, then you need to go to that Solid Inspector system right here. And essentially, it's going to open up the same menu here. And everything that I've shown you, for example, I could come back and select the general tolerances there, right? Based on that, you select whether it's fine, medium, coarse, and so on, right? And again, this could be configured to meet your customer's needs, customer standards. Let's say I go ahead and select the same thing, same thing was medium, yep. And you see the same linear tolerance, angular, and so on. So I'll go ahead and save that. The next thing I want to show you is, well, once I've done that, you could also either create them, um, let's see here, manually, right? Or automatic. So I'm going to go ahead, obviously, do Solid Edge do the work for me. So now that I've went and selected the option to go ahead and select them, you can see that it went out and placed the balloon next to the dimension. And you could do the same thing as I did in draft. You can move them around. If you go have that, grab that dimension here, it's going to basically do the same behavior, right? I go drag it, and obviously that balloon that's assigned to this or linked to this dimension, it will go ahead and, along with the ride as well. I could do the same thing with these others, or if I want to maybe you got some of these numbers here that quite maybe slightly big or they don't quite fit in this area here, you could come back and maybe make that smaller, right? Or make them slightly bigger. So you basically increase or decrease the size of the PMI font. Okay, so with that said, and again, you could do the same thing, run the reports, basically everything that I've done with the 2D. All right, so that looks like it's going to be it for this right here. So let me switch back to my um PowerPoint. All right, so as far as showing all the great things about Solid 23, kind of done that. Now the next step is for you guys to, if you're interested, learn more about Solid Edge. You go ahead and look at all the benefits it could provide you for your company. You could go into Siemens and download the software or could scan the code there. So there's so much more in Solid Edge 2023 release that we are able to show you today. Uh, I encourage you to sit down, get to know it. I also encourage you to join the Solid Edge community forum and talk with your fellow users. All right, here's a web page right there. And for those who haven't tried Solid Edge, I encourage you to with the our free 30-day trial. It's full access trial, and you can Siemens.com try Solid Edge or scan the code there. So today we've shown you some of the great new capabilities within Solid Edge 2023. Companies like Yanu, trust Solid Edge to help them grow with their business. It's time for you to take a hard look at Solid Edge 23. Just want to thank you guys for joining us for this event, and hopefully hear from you guys. Thank you. Now we'll leave it for a Q&A. Okay.